Cupertino gives us updates to both hardware and software. The first thing that came out today, Apple updated Final Cut Pro, Compressor, and Motion with key updates and bug fixes. The biggest feature is that version 10.4.6 of Final Cut Pro, plus the latest versions of Compressor and Motion, will now automatically detect media files that may be incompatible with future versions of macOS after Mojave. It'll then convert them to a compatible 64-bit format. There will also be several fixes to issues where share destinations and workflow extension buttons will just disappear out of nowhere. And there are also several other annoying bug fixes and housekeeping updates. All three applications will improve reliability in sharing your files to YouTube.
So what's your view of the update?
While most of version 10.4.6 is a mere housekeeping update, fixing several annoying bugs, the big feature of this update is Apple taking steps to automatically identify and reformat legacy codecs so that users can prepare for a future after macOS Mojave. This will give all Final Cut Pro, Motion, and Compressor users a leg up in future-proofing their old legacy media.
Apple announced at the Worldwide Developer Conference last year, 2018, that Mojave would be the last that supports 32 bits. So for developers, this is not new news, but for all of us users, we're still panicking to make sure things are going to work. What especially impresses me here is that we can use Compressor, which is a $50 program, and use it to convert legacy media. For instance, Premiere users can use this, or Avid users can use it as a way of doing your conversion. Even if you don't edit with Final Cut, Compressor makes this something that all of us could take advantage of.
And do it automatically.
So that's our first Apple story. What's number two?
Well, Apple yesterday announced what could be the last Intel-based iMac refresh. 4K and 5K iMacs get a modest boost in performance with 8th and 9th generation Coffee Lake processors. The iMacs will receive the AMD Radeon Pro 500X GPUs, with the 4K iMac receiving 4 gigabytes of VRAM on the Radeon Pro, while the 5K iMac will receive 8 gigabytes of VRAM on the Radeon Pro. And the 5K iMac users will also get the option of upgrading to the Radeon Pro Vega. iMac Pros will also get a tiny little update with the Radeon Vega upgrade option and up to 256 gigabytes of DDR4 EEC RAM for the processor.
So what's your take here?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's difficult to get excited about this last update. After waiting over 2 years for a refresh of the iMac lines, getting a processor that's at least 12 to 18 months old isn't really all that sexy, even if it does boost performance by promise 40 to 80%. This update, though, is clearly just a placeholder to placate the Apple faithful until their new Apple-designed processors come out in the iMac in 2020.
I agree. The update is nice, and by the way, spending more money for a GPU increases your speed, but doesn't increase your image quality. Still, the upgrade's minor.
And speaking of image quality, the display used in the both models is exactly the same as last year, as the previous model. So you're not really going to see any difference on the screen.